Hey, I'm Skinny Cheeks. I just got back from the ESO celebration event in Las Vegas and honestly can't really even put into words how special it was. Getting to meet so many wonderful people there, making new friends, and spending time with a lot of you I've known for years now but never met face to face. Just overwhelmingly positive vibes all around. I just wish I took more pictures, but luckily others out there probably have a ton. During the first day of the event, we had a really awesome lineup of stuff to do. Some of this was on the live stream, but some was scheduled as in-person only. And during these, we had some time for Q&A with various developers and got a chance to ask quite a few questions and get some new information. One of the questions I asked was about the current status of leaderboards for PvE trial and arena content, since the weekly leaderboard rewards are feeling very outdated at this point, and the patch leaderboards actually don't offer any rewards at all. I asked if that was something that they were planning on updating. They said that it wasn't something that they're currently working on, but they did sound very receptive to the idea of refreshing them, more so than some of the other topics that they were asked about, but said it was good to get the feedback and this is the kind of stuff that they want to hear. So if that sounds like something that you'd like for them to update, definitely give some feedback on that. If we get a few people maybe pushing in the same direction, maybe we can get an update to that. Next up, the Attunable crafting stations. Someone asked Rich Lambert, the creative director, how these would work exactly, and he gave us a pretty quick rundown. It didn't have all of the specifics, but definitely a bit more info than we had before. So once Necrom hits, there will be 80 craftable sets in the game, which means to have an attunable station in your house for each set, you need 320 total stations set up, since there are woodworking, blacksmithing, clothing, and jewelry crafting stations for each of those. So the way the new all-in-one attunable stations will work is that the total number of stations you need will essentially go from 320 down to just 4. You'll have one master station for each proficiency type. So again, the woodworking, blacksmithing, clothing, and jewelry crafting. And then for those that were worried this would invalidate all the time and effort spent collecting the previous attunables, thankfully they did take that into consideration. And for the new master stations, you will essentially feed your old attunable stations into those to have access to that particular set within the master station. So for example, if I have an attunable blacksmithing station with Julianos, I can feed that into the master blacksmithing station and it will be accessible there along with any other attunable blacksmithing stations that I have fed into it. So you will still have to have that original attunable first. So for those that are already caught up, you won't have wasted all that time gathering them and you'll still be a step ahead of everybody else. I think this is about as good a route as they could have gone with this. I know a lot of people were worried with what direction they would take to make this happen, and I'm glad ZOS took the time that players have spent into consideration, and also just as a quality of life upgrade, only having to visit a small area in a home now instead of running around a city of crafting stations. This will just save some time to craft a set you might want, whether it be to use or for master writs. And I don't believe there's any info yet on how the master stations will be sourced. If I had to guess, I'd say they'll probably continue the trend of using either crafting writ vouchers or crowns to purchase this, but that is something we'll have to wait for more info on. Then at the end of the Q&A, Rich Lambert asked if we would like some additional info on the upcoming endless dungeon system that they're adding, which of course led to a very excited response from the crowd. And then Mike Finnegan, the lead encounter designer, took over to explain. So before this Q&A, all we previously knew about the endless dungeon system was from that original Necrom preview stream where Rich Lambert said this.
How does an endless dungeon with a buddy sound?
Oh, sounds good.
And so there was speculation that this would be a two-person dungeon system since he used the term with a buddy. And yes, this has been confirmed now. You will be able to do the new endless dungeon solo with a companion, or with you and one other player. And I'm really excited to see a new mode like this for a group size we've never seen content designed for before. The idea of just you and one other friend tackling a challenge together, it sounds so fun to me. So the next thing we learned is that it does tie into the Shadow over Morrowind story, and that the system is inspired by roguelikes. So typically roguelikes are a subgenre of RPG games involving things like permadeath and randomized levels, but there is a good bit of wiggle room within that category. So these here are some of the games that Google lists as roguelike. So think something along these lines for the gameplay type. And then Finn did say that roguelike doesn't necessarily fit directly into the game, so they're going to have to make some changes that we are going to see later on. So we'll have to wait for more details on that aspect of it. Another point that he made is that, as the name implies, it is endless, meaning essentially you can continue as far as your skill will take you. There is no actual end to it, which does make sense considering the name. Randomness will also be a big part of the system as well. He gave a few examples of this. The bosses that you encounter will be random. So he said you might fight the Whisperer in one run as well as the Ascendant Lord, or in the next one you might fight Lady Belaine and Yolnacrin. I don't know if he was being sarcastic with the Yolnacrin part. I couldn't tell if he was memeing or not, but that is going to be pretty nuts if we are fighting actual trial bosses in these things. Another part of the randomness will be a feature called Boons and Blessings. These will be short and long-term buffs that you'll use to augment your run as you go through it. You'll have to make a choice which ones you take, and the ones you have to choose from will be random, which will mean some runs are a bit easier than others depending on what you end up getting. He didn't talk about the level design for these, so it is still unclear if the maps will be procedurally generated like a lot of roguelikes are, or if they're going to be new hand-designed levels or just pre-existing places that we've already been through. So we will have to wait for more info on that part of it, but I'm getting more and more excited for this system the more that we do learn about it. Also, in case you haven't heard, PTS for update 38 Necrom is coming on Monday, April 17th, so I'll be doing my thorough patch note stream over on Twitch as soon as those patch notes go live. So make sure to stop by if you want to dig into those with me. And then we'll also be hopping on the PTS right after that to look at the Arcanist, as well as running the new trial called Sanity's Edge. So it's going to be a really full day on Monday, and it should be a lot of fun. And as always, I'll try to keep everyone here up to date on YouTube with any big changes that do happen on the PTS. For those of you still here, still watching, thank you so much for making it this far. I know I've been talking about it for a little while now. Once we hit 50,000 subs here on the channel, which we are so close to now, I'm going to be giving away 50,000 crowns. I'm going to do a special YouTube stream. I've never streamed live on YouTube before. I always do that over on Twitch. But I figured since this was a milestone for YouTube, it would be kind of fun to do a stream here on YouTube. So be looking out for that. More details as soon as we hit that 50K subs mark, which last I checked, we were only 50 subs away. So it should be really soon now. Thank you guys so much. Shout out to my Patreon supporters and YouTube members. You really helped so much to keep the YouTube channel and website going. And a special thanks to Nicholas, Simon, Cougar is Bay in the Cougar City Guild, the Order of War Guild, Cantankerous Cat, Shady, Iffy, Blake1816, Mordecai1212, Santanico, Vidridi, Florian, Phoenix, Nolandia, Unemployed, Criseliana, Cha-Cha, and Technical KO. Thanks again, and see you later. Bye.